This is about to be like an IGLing 101 video, and it's basically going to lead into a series I'm going to make about IGLing. Because I tried filming this like 20 times last night, and I tried condensing it all into one video, and it's literally just not possible. So I'm going to talk about the topics that I'm going to talk about, if that makes sense. But this is still a useful video because you're going to learn like what things you should think about when you're calling as an IGL. Alright? Also want to give credit to Lucid, who's also another CSGO YouTuber. He has a video similar to this about like playstyles, and it's definitely this video is definitely heavily influenced by Lucid. So I'm gonna put his channel in the description. You should go check him out. So we're gonna bring it to MS Paint. And I'm gonna talk about the things that should go through your mind when you think about IGLing, and then eventually I'll like go into like deeper topics about or deeper rants about each of those topics. Okay, so let's bring it to MS Paint. All right, so here we are at the drawing board, and I got a bunch of stuff written down. I'm gonna talk about all of them, and then I'll get into more detail in a bit. So these are what I would consider reads. Like if you can find out these things about the other team, you can make a good call based on that, if that makes sense, right? So first we got the economy. If you can predict the enemy's economy, it basically limits like the options that they have, right? If they have a full bar, they have unlimited options. They can rush, they can execute really round, they can be methodical in map control, they could pop, they can do a late round exit. They have unlimited options. They can do whatever they want because they're full util, full money, right? So if you know that they're low economy, it basically limits their options of what they can do in a round. So economy is super important. That's the first thing you should be thinking about, is trying to predict the other team's economy and also taking consideration yours, so you can dictate how you're going to play the round as well. 2, their numbers. How are they set up during a round? Are they like a kill squad team where they have one big group, or are they like a buddy system type team where it's like a 2-1-2 default all the time? And I'm going to talk about this later on and like the advantages of each type of default and the number setups. And then obviously this goes for CT side as well. If you want to talk about CT side numbers, how many CTs are playing each site, the setups and stuff like that. Oh wow, look at that. If we want to talk about both sides, I'm going to throw this in there. Setups. Boom. Number 9. 3, are they methodical or dry? Actually, that makes no sense now because we're talking about T side. Are they methodical or dry when they're taking map control or hitting a site, right? Do they take do they just walk up banana and just contact car? Are they like Gambit, you know, contacting everything? Or are they like Astralis where they just double molly, like flashes come in like crazy util usage, you know? Are they methodical or dry in their defaults? 4, are they aggro or passive? And this is kind of like a blanket statement because a team is never fully passive and a team is never fully aggro. And that's why number 5 is when. When are they doing all this stuff, right? Because all this is important. When are they grouping up, right? Numbers. When are they being methodical? When are they being dry? When are they being aggro? When are they being passive? Are they aggro early round? Are they methodical early round and then contact late round? So when is super important. And this goes into the phases right over here. Phase 1, 2, 3, which I'll talk about in a second. So 6, map specific. Because obviously each map should be played differently because they are different maps. 7 is the meta. What's the current meta of the map you're playing on? And then 8, conditioning. If you're making a read that the other team's trying to condition you for whatever reason, trying to make you do a certain setup, you got to be able to read this as an IGL if you're being conditioned and try and break out of that conditioning. And this is super important to learn because this is like some advanced level shit right there. All right. I didn't put a number on this, but opping. Are they opping or not? And if they are opping, is their op super aggressive? Is he like more of a supportive op where he just posts on angles? That's another thing you should try and figure out. And then I got types right here, which I'll get into another video. But basically this is like, when you have a type of team, this is something that you need on your teams to just call so all your players can just counter it. Like instead of having to be like, oh, we're playing a team on a low buy that 4-1s, they're methodical, they're super methodical in their map takes, super aggressive. Like instead of listing all this stuff out, you need like certain code words for your communication on a team to you know, say one thing as an IGL, and then your whole team just knows what to do. So let's say you know, you're playing a team that's super methodical and they default and they always 4-1, right? And super util heavy. Oh, we're playing an Astralis type team. They're super methodical in their defaults. Or we're playing a team that's really dry, that kill squads, aggro early round, right? We're playing a Gambit team because they always contact. Like simple code words you can use to like tell your players what type of team you're playing against. Because obviously there's like an infinite number of combinations that you can have. The economy can be different one round. They could kill squad in one round. They could buddy system one round. They could be methodical one round and dry. Like, it's a limited combination. So just having a type of team to tell your players that we're playing against can help them switch up how they're playing to like help counter that. And then now we got our phases, and this is also important because this is like, so this is round specific, right? This is game specific right here. So there's a phase within a round, and then there's pace changes within a game, because obviously a team's never going to play the same way. If they're smart, they're never going to play the same way the full game. And then also they're never going to play the same way for each phase of the round. And within these three phases, you got like the startup phase. Back to Lucid's video, he talks about this, which is like just going to those areas of map contesting where it's like, I don't know, Banana Inferno, both teams are fighting for the control of that area, and taking what's rightfully yours. So if you're a T, taking T apps is gifted to you on that map on Inferno. So that's like the first phase. The second phase is like the map control phase where you're defaulting and adjusting and mid-round calling and watching for CT aggression, stuff like that. And the third round phase is just finishing off the round. So it's like when you're going to execute and then what's your post-plan setups and stuff like that. So pace change would just be like switching up how you're playing a round and then how you're playing each phase within a round. And this is important because you got to predict the enemy's pace changes. If they're a smart IGL, they're going to pace change. If they're a dumb IGL, they're probably going to pace change too, but just not realize that they're doing that. Because they're just going to be like, oh, it's not working, rush B, like that type of bullshit. So hopefully this makes sense. And one thing I want to stress is that you don't need to know everything about another team that you're playing in order to make a good call. It's just the more that you know, the harder your counter will be against their next call, right? If that makes sense. So if you know that they're a low economy, they always kill squad, they're super dry, and I don't know, yada, 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 you can make a call that will hard counter that. But if you only know one thing, like let's say you don't know anything about the other team, right? For some reason you just forgot their economy and they're super random, but you know they have an aggressive op, counter that aggressive op, right? You can pick one thing out of this list to counter, and that's a good call in my opinion. Like, as long as you have some type of reason for your call, it's a good call, if that makes sense. But just the more reads that you have, the better your call will be. Obviously, there's more to this than just these 8, but I thought these 8 were pretty important. But yeah, let me know what you think, and I'm gonna make this into a series and get into pretty deep rants about each of these topics. And then, yeah, if you master like these first 7, actually all of them except 6, like you can apply it to every map, because the map specific thing, yeah, maps are different, but like if you have the fundamentals, you can pretty much play every map, if that makes sense. So, yep, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll get into more details about these topics later on. Peace out.
Yeah, I'ma go fuck that bitch. I'ma go